He's not a bad-looking chap, is he? Yeah, that sweaty mess is me, and it's about the same now. But yeah, so this is my story and my journey about overcoming adversity in my journey of resilience. And it starts when I joined the Air Force in 2009. In my late teens, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I bounced around from job to job. Fortunately, the video's covered a lot of this, so I'm going to try and glaze over some of it. But yeah, I couldn't find my calling. I was always good with my hands, always practically minded, terrible at reading a PowerPoint and, textbooks. Never worked for me. I saw, Air Force had a ground support engineer, and that was glorified mechanic. I got to work on vehicles and plant equipment. And yeah, 2009, I worked for the gate at RAF Fulton, graduated 4 months later, and then I got my first posting to Norfolk at RAF Marham. In that time, I then got to complete several overseas tours, including a very heavy drinking tour of 4 months down the Falklands. So out of 122 days, I had 123 hangovers. But it was a great learning point for me. It gave me the skills, in leadership, discipline, and resilience. And the one thing the military have always been good at doing is you don't give up. You keep fighting. You keep pushing on. And unfortunately, that perseverance and determination to go up the ranks got promoted, and I got to go to Cyprus in 2019 with the F-35 for their first overseas attachment. 3 days in, the unfortunate accident happened, and my left foot was severely crushed. But I continued to work. I got taken off the tools, put behind the desk. Not the thing I enjoy most. I like wielding a hammer like Thor, but what can you do? But I continued to do that whilst I was in constant pain and going through 2 to 3 weeks rehabilitation at the Defence Rehab Centre at Stamford Hall. And unfortunately, the pain for me kept continuing. And then, in March 2023, I was medically discharged for being unable to carry out my full extent of my duties and issues about being able to deploy. But originally, when my foot, you think it's just a broken foot, it's going to heal. I thought, at least I can do is try and put a claim in, just to make sure that if anything in the future is to happen, and if you could show complications and it requires specialist footwear, I've got the money to sort of secure that, never realising that this would now become my life. And Irwin Mitchell took on the claim, and as you met in the video, Cy Harrington, brilliant guy, as I mentioned in the video, he doesn't mince his words, and I didn't want that. I wanted him to tell me that if I was being, unfair, unrealistic about the claim, just tell me. I'm not going to be offended, because making a claim can be stressful. For the clients who are sitting in front of you today, when they say you've got to see experts, whether it's orthopedic surgeon, mental health, physiotherapist, you don't do it once, you do it twice. You're doing it for the defence. And is it time consuming? All my appointments are predominantly in London. I live in Norwich. There's no easy way out of Norwich. But they were all brilliant. I have no complaints. They all came down to the ultimate result that the foot is going to get amputated, and ultimately it was. And yeah, the assessment, as a result, has secured my future. It's allowed me to buy the house I require, but I don't need to adapt it and have to worry about adapting it. I've got a car which is more suitable, because trying to get into a low estate or sports car, it's a nightmare for a leg amputee, particularly when you're trying to lead in with your left leg and you're hanging off the roof. You look a bit of a muppet. And there's going to come a point where my wife, she's not going to be able to look after me when I'm older. She's going to need a bit of care of herself potentially, particularly with the rate I'm going. More mental health though. But it'll allow me to get mobility aids, the mobility scooters. Who knows what's going to be out in the future? Certain prosthetics. I live a very active lifestyle, and I plan on doing that for as long as possible. So hopefully the right prosthetics will continue to do that. But something an insurer can learn is we are seen as a debit on a sheet. And we're not trying to, nobody wants to scam you out of money, anything like that. But to actually understand what that person is going through any severe traumatic injury, industry-related, anything like that, loss of your limb, whether it be traumatic or through an elective amputation as a result of an injury. to know you've got that financial security to look after yourself, to look after your family in the future and not have to worry, that's really, really important. And then I want you to sort of have a little think. Have you ever sort of broken a bone, torn a muscle, suffered a bad burn, migraines? Try and think of the most unbearable pain you've ever been in, and then have that for a little over 2 years. I mean, how many people, a little hands up, how many people have broken bones, multiple bones, anything like that? Suffered migraines, burns? Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? I was living through that every single day, effectively. And yeah, so 9th of May, 2019, day 3, my wonderful colleague decides he's going to tow a jet engine trailer into the back of my left foot, and generally, I know for a fact when I put my boot on at 6 o'clock in the morning, my foot wasn't 45 degrees. We were originally tasked with moving about 150, 200 items of wheeled equipment to support the F-35s, inspect them, and make sure they'd survive a trip overseas from the UK via ship. He pulled up next to me in the little tow tractor, very, very noisy. You can't not hear it coming, even with ear defenders on, high visibility belts. It's brighter than it is out there today. He pulled up next to me, no issues. I had a discussion, where do you want my trailer? Please put it in front of the hangar doors, and I will have a look at it when I get to it. But instead of arcing back out, he drove in a straight line. And as I walked, I felt the wheel pull my foot under. I've broken bones before, but that was a new level. And it feels really insignificant when I hear Ruby's, Alison's and Mike's stories. That looks pretty pathetic, really. But yeah, I ended up having a 4-hour reconstructive surgery in Cyprus. I had a dislocated fracture of the first metatarsal, broke every metatarsal, which is a little tricky to see in that, but I'm sure the trained eyes in here can work it out. Somebody said, it's probably layman terms for the spanner monkey here, a nut crack fracture of the cuboid, where it just basically fractured in half. Destroyed the cartilage in my midfoot, and most of the operation resulted in scraping out bits of cartilage, fragmented bone, and then doing open reduction internal fixation of the foot. And the surgeon did a great job. My foot looked like my foot again, although black and blue and rather swollen. Unfortunately, as time progressed, I developed CRPS. And this is where I asked you about, the most unbearable pain you've ever experienced, and all I was given was meds. I was going through intense physiotherapy, trying everything we could to get the foot back to as normal as possible, but once the CRPS took hold, that was it. I had enough drugs in my system to sedate a rhino. And even that was probably doing about 25% of the pain relief. So when I was sent to see 2 plastic surgeons and 2 vascular surgeons, stroke orthopedic surgeons, they unanimously agreed that the foot had to come off. It was either we do it now or it's coming off down the line, and how much longer can you keep suffering? And at that point, I was miserable. I was depressed, life was grey. I was incredibly snappy at my poor wife. She took a hell of a brunt, a hell of a lot of verbal abuse off me. I couldn't be the dad I wanted. So when that opportunity came, I was just, take this thing, it's alien to me, it's dead, it's no use, and let me get my life back. And then, foot came off, some of the downsides, yeah. There's a recurring theme here sometimes, isn't there? Kicked off amusement rides. Yes, that has happened to me. After coming, yeah, as embarrassing it is. As a grown adult, I've heard stories of children being kicked off because apparently my leg is going to fall off in a seated roller coaster. You do the math. That was our welcome home, congratulations after the Invictus Games. Let's take a load of disabled and injured service personnel and veterans to a theme park where a lot of us can't get on the rides. And when I asked the theme park operator, who made the decision, who makes a decision on when who and who can't ride it. He was told the manufacturers. When I took it up the manufacturers a few days later, they said it's a theme park. So who's blaming who, and where is policy just out of date? Because I know for a fact that although I'm attached with a silicone sleeve up my thigh, that leg's not going to come off. And then for some of the smaller rides where I've been to Chessington with my kids, the lack of ankle means I can't bend and get my leg in. And I'm a tall guy, it's quite obvious. Had I gone without my wife, I wouldn't have been able to go on a lot of the kids with my 4-year-old daughter, my 7-year-old son, because I simply don't fit. So it would have been just get in the car, go back home after a couple of hours drive. Yeah, the famous one, phantom pains and sensations. I'm seeing the amputees nodding. Do you all get them? Yeah. My one right now is my big toenail being pulled off. Yeah, anyone's caught their toenail, they know it's uncomfortable. That is my brain's go-to. Why it's gone there, I know my foot's gone. I can look at it every single day. I know it's not there. But I get everything. I believe Jan said, like, you get the electric shocks. Yeah, no, or is it Holly? Yeah, Holly, sorry. The wham-whams. I get static. That's what I know it as. It's like the static on your TV. It's almost as background noise, like a very faint pins and needles. But bam, you get this one where it feels like a cattle pod's been put in the sole of my foot. The other night I was up for several hours because it felt like somebody was forcing a thumbtack into my little toe. It's really bizarre. How the brain deals with it, I don't know. But I'm trying new meds and we'll take it from there. And if not, there are surgery options. Alan and the prosthetists in here probably know well about poor fitting prosthetics. I'm not going to bore you with that. If you haven't got a poor fitting, if you've got a poor fitting prosthetic, you're simply not going to be doing what you want. And seeing, I forget the little girl's name, but Lizzie, all the things she's doing, it's watching the children and stuff like that. They inspire me, encourage me to want to go off and do as best as I can. And I can definitely attest with the swimming, being an ex-swimmer myself, and then getting in and swim with a rubber foot. It acts like a rudder, it steers you off, so it is just easier to swim without it. And then, yeah, Alison is definitely a great one on that. When you're told you can't do something, that's like a red flag to a bull. You are going to go out your way and prove everyone wrong. And that sort of led on to a few other things. So my recovery journey, after the injury, I couldn't do anything because of CRPS, because my foot was just useless and dead to me. I gained a lot of weight. As a mechanic in the Air Force, it was a very physical, very hands-on job. You're moving massive gearboxes around, taking truck brakes components apart. And it was, 5 days a week, you're on the tools and it's hard work. So you tend to keep in shape. Plus, PT is quite, important to the military. I lost all my muscle and I got up to about 16 stone because I was just trying to comfort eat. But after the leg came off and that pain was gone, that was my wake-up call. This is my second chance at life. I've got to grasp it whilst I can. So I was able to start working out again. I started shifting the weight, and I've still got a little bit of a dad bod belly going on, but I'm working on that, and we will get there. Pomade, there we are. Very first steps I got to take on that, and it's a really bizarre feeling. That was just over 6 weeks after my amputation. I am fortunate that losing my leg in the military, we have the Defence Rehab Centre, but like STEPS and any other companies which offer residential rehabilitation, it's so crucial to get you going. That residential facility to have the whole team, everyone you need to help you progress forward, is such a benefit, and you're going to have every chance of succeeding. And then in the photo next to it, that was a video which I've had to screenshot because we know it's temperamental on here. That was my first steps unaided, well, apart from the walking stick, fully loading into my new prosthetic. And then the video that's below when I first learned to run just under a year after losing my leg. So going from having my leg off in the July, first steps in September to the beginning of the next September, I'd learned to run. There we are, diving, training for Invictus Games. I've also then gone on and got back onto the snowboard. I'd only been snowboarding for 5 days with both meat feet. I've actually now got more experience as a below knee amputee. But the main thing is, in all these photos, a lot of them, from all those years of suffering and working hard to try and get my life back on track, I found my smile again. Not many people might approve of this being as close to the balcony as it was, but my son loved it, and that put a smile on my face as well. And this is where I'm trying to redefine the possibilities. I am not the greatest athlete in the world. I'm not the greatest adventurer. I am just your average, everyday guy who had a second chance at life. And I am taking that bull by the horns, and I'm going to do as much as I can. For me, my kids are a great factor, and I want to show them just what's possible. So since July 21, I went to Colorado, snowboarding with the Armed Forces Power Snow Sports team, where I'd only been snowboarding for a total of 10 days, and I had the opportunity to take part in the giant slalom and bank slalom, where I picked up gold medals in both. I then, 6 months later, went to Dusseldorf with the Team UK at the Invictus Games, where, as I mentioned in my video, I picked up 4 golds from the pool, which was my old sport, and I had to put that demon to bed and prove to myself that I can still swim. In fact, also out there, I did indoor rowing, the 1 minute sprint, which you won't believe. Anyone do indoor rowing? No, don't. It's called the vomit comet for a reason. It's horrible, and 1 minute sprint, you give it 110% effort for that 1 minute, but the environment is phenomenal. And had to go to the archery, which is taking me on to now where I was very fortunate. I have been selected to the GB Para pathway to try and become a Paralympic archer. Whether I make it to LA, I don't know. Brisbane is probably more realistic. But first I've got to try and become British #1. So I've got one person ahead of me, Cameron Madigan. So yeah, I'm coming for him. But he's a good guy. And yeah, this is where I want to... I say I'm not an inspirational person. I don't see myself as an inspirational person. I'm just your average guy. But what I want to do is, if I can make one positive impact to just one person, then all these talks, all putting my body and my poor family through it, it's worth it, because I want my kids to go, do you know what? Nearly 40-year-old, bit of a dad bod, average guy can do it. Then I've got every possibility to go off and succeed. So yeah, losing my leg definitely instilled a new sense of determination, and that's the word we've heard several times today. You become more determined, you get that second chance. After seeing Mike's state of his motorbike and his list of injuries, if you're not moved by everyone else's stories here today, you're not moved by mine, then I think we're all in one place today. But yeah, I am now committed to inspiring and motivating others with disabilities. It doesn't necessarily have to be limb loss, but obviously for me that is my personal journey and my own experience. I want to show the next, even current, but next generations coming up, that actually the world is a big, beautiful place, and taking it on and not to shy away. That is the main thing. Do not shy away and be scared to give things a go. I mean, you should be privileged, because today I'm wearing trousers for the second time this year. I don't wear trousers. I do wear shorts. So it's not just underwear, okay? My wife wouldn't be seen in public. But yeah, it's like I said, I want to get our seat at the table with Merlin Entertainment and make those theme parks more inclusive to people with limb loss, because their websites, their staff, and the signs all say different things. And I think there's a generation of children growing up who are missing out on these wonderful opportunities. There are so many charities out there as well which do adaptive sports. My personal experience with archery is it's a very inclusive sport. We've got people on academy who have lost the use of arm. They may not have the amputation, but they're shooting one arm and their teeth. There's a young girl from India who shoots no arms, and she shoots with her feet. And she's going to be world #1 in that classification before you know it. So yeah, I can't remember her name, but if you do a Google search or on YouTube, it's very impressive to watch. So I tried to use my personal story to encourage resilience and drive. I'm not saying being an amputee is easy. I wouldn't want to wish it on anyone. When you're crawling into the toilet at night for a wee, late 30s, it's rather demeaning. It's a bit humiliating, but it's just part of life. It's something we have to do. I can see you nodding. But there are so many great things out there. I wouldn't have done, and I feel like a hypocrite on times, I wouldn't be doing anything like I do now had I not lost my leg. And I feel like a fraudster as well, because there are people who've had it so much worse than me. But when I watch the likes of Mark Ormrod, Little Lizzie in the video, and others who are going off and doing these incredible things around the world, I don't really have an excuse not to. And this is where I'm trying to make the positive changes. But one of my quotes I found just searching the internet is, adversity is one of life's greatest teachers. And it really is. I said, I've become so resilient, so determined to succeed. I'm not going to let things get in my way. And it's definitely a lesson we can all live on. And something I came up with is, it's not to be defined by a disability, but to take ownership of it and conquer the challenges. Ruby, you can keep your CrossFit. Yeah, not for me. Fair play to you. But yeah, you don't have to be defined. It's not an excuse. I've lost my leg, I've lost an arm. It shouldn't be the end of things. There are so many great things you can go out and achieve. I'm not saying go do the toughest trek in the world like I did. We were told, my teammate Rich, who's also a blown knee, we were told, basically, no one's ever done it. You're not going to be able to succeed. Well, there's the red flag again. We're going off and doing it. We had a great support network. We had great prosthetics. Because going back to the sort of backtracking, having a good prosthetics was really key to us actually being able to do this trek. I unfortunately had to come out 12 days in after doing 140 kilometres of about 5,000 metres. Amputees have got no right to be on that terrain. It's completely unforgiving, but having the right prosthetics allowed us. And my teammate went off and completed the full snowman trek in 28 days. But to the end, he ended up losing, 38 compedes, 15, 16 different dressings, second skin, broad spectrum antibiotics. It cost him a lot of pain to get the end. Unfortunately, my leg swelled up halfway through so much that I couldn't fit in any more prosthetics. And for safety element, I had to withdraw. I couldn't risk my life, my teammates' life, and my crew's life. And this is, anything is possible. I never thought I'd get to meet Sam Ryder and Rita Ora. That is not all, but the vast majority of the kit we had to carry for our trek whilst we were raising money for Blesman and Royal British Legion. That was just a phenomenal day. Crystal clear skies, glacial rivers, and this is where some of the, for us, cold water therapy, because you cannot do that trek without being next to a water source. That's where your drinking water came from. And that water's about 3 degrees. So at the end of each day, strip down to your underwear, get in the water, and actually that helped with the phantom pains, because when you're walking 5,000 metres, between 4,000 and 5,000 metres for up to 12 hours in a day, uphill and downhill, and amputees hate hills. They're not our favourite. The phantom pains really flare up, and that was actually really beneficial for us. My first trip away with the Armed Forces Power Snow Sports team with my Spider-Man snowboard leg, which has a mountain bike shock absorber in the foot with the BioDAP foot. Reason Spider-Man, my little boy loves Spider-Man, so I wanted to feel as natural and normal for him. Myself and my teammates doing part in the archery, and that was, unfortunately, much of a despair of my poor wife for starting my archery, which takes me away a lot now training. There we are, here's a blade. That's my running blade, which I found whilst training up in Penavan a couple of times. Was really good going up on loose soil. I use it when I go snowboarding, and I take my leg off, because there's no point trying to strip that down every day, because the foot's a nightmare to get in and out of. So just swap your legs over, why not? And myself and one of my teammates from the UK at Invictus just after I picked up one of my other medals, and that was a really special moment to embrace it, because when we went out, he was really worried about his race, and I just go out there, swim your own race, just do you, and enjoy the moment. And he came third, so it shows anything is possible. And then find a new reason why. Why push yourself? Why do these things? Why do we want to better ourselves? Is it for your family, friends, future generations, equality, for yourself? There's no wrong in having a little bit of an ego boost, saying, do you know what, I did that for me. It's absolutely fine and normal. But ultimately, for me, they are my reason why. They are my everything. My daughter is asleep there. This is the indoor rowing. This was by one of the RBL photographers, and I've been to many, many rugby games as a Welshman. Love our rugby, although we don't talk about our recent performance. And that was noisy with about 5,000-6,000 people in the stadium, and my daughter slept through it. So she missed my only rowing race. And you can see the impact it had. My son loved it. The amount of people with various amounts of limb missing, disfigurements because of combat injuries. And it became so normal. They didn't bat an eyelid. And that's what we need to normalise, is, yes, we look different. We have various amounts of us missing. I'm not quite right on the head probably, but that's another story. But they don't bat an eyelid. They just go, that man's got a leg like you, Daddy, or thing. I've got 6 prosthetics. My daughter calls me an octopus because I've got more limbs than I know what to do with now. And that strange woman is actually my mother, who very thoroughly got into it. But yeah, they are my reason. So whatever you do for yourself, even if it's not for you, find your reason. You've got your son. I know you're going to go off and do what you want, the best you can for him to show him, and you've already said it's normal for him now. Yeah. Mike, I know, and you're determined you're going to get another TV out or something. And Alison, you're showing me up. I'll have a chat. I'll have a go with surfing. You come snowboarding. Done. But no skydiving. I hate heights. So join the Air Force. I just want to leave you on one final thought: is for every disability you have, you are more than gifted enough to overcome those challenges. And a motto I really try to live by now is the Invictus motto: I am the master of my fate. And the second part of that, because I didn't say it on, is I am the captain of my soul. And that is something you really can take home. And our own success is all down to what we do. You can have a great team behind you, but ultimately your success is how much effort you put in. Thank you.